Okay, so got a couple folks on. Um, what I tried last time I went through Zoom, I did the recording through Zoom, and the problem is Zoom is tied to a section. So if I did it through Zoom, I would get one section but not the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm recording this through Snagit on my machine here, and I'll post it to both sections. All right. So what I want to do is we're going to take another crack at this. I think we finally have resolved our inventory problem. Um, Basically, when they had set up the lab exercise, um, they didn't put any inventory in, so we're able to do things like we can create sales orders, but we could not create deliveries. We couldn't do a post goods issue. We couldn't do we couldn't do a cash application, right, which are the next steps in the process. So I'm going to walk through that. I'm going to go through that fairly quickly, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to visit the procure to pay exercise. All right, so there's some stuff in that. We're going to shift that around a little bit as well because that's actually got some stuff in it. Actually, working with that, there's quirks within that, so we're going to kind of simplify that up a bit, so we're not, we're not wrestling with the application. The idea is not necessarily to beat the application into the ground, but rather to give a demonstration of kind of the functionality, capabilities, and all that stuff. Okay, how does that sound? So let's. So let's see, we're up under. Our SAP system should be up and running. Back into our. Oh, time down. Okay, okie dokie. So I think we're good here. Let me share my desktop because that comes in handy as well because I'll be talking and you won't see anything that I'm showing. Let's see, where is my Zoom? Share screen. Desktop 1. Okay. Can you guys see this okay? Are you seeing my screen here? Hopefully. You just IM me if you see it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is let's call up first exercise, which is going to be the order to cash. Sales order processing. All right, so this is a little bit so this one looks a little different now because this is actually for the new version of the application that we're running it. So we're actually running with something called S4 HANA, which is the latest incarnation of the SAP ERP platform. So it's actually SAP has rewritten their application, or have made modifications to their application pretty extensively over the years. All right, so the screens a lot of times will look the same, but the way the underlying technology will change. So part of what they've done is they've now it's you use the application using a browser as opposed to a web client, or excuse me, a client on the machine. And there's some other in the user interface, and they've redone a bunch of stuff on it. So this is the latest iteration of it. So they've actually, as I said, we got it. This was, I think they finished this I think they completed this over the summer. We didn't get to use it in the fall, so this is kind of our first crack at it. All right, so let's take a look. So what we're going to do is, our process is, and we're going to remind you as we go through. So it's inquiry, order, right? Delivery, post goods issue, apply cash. Those are the 5 steps we're going to execute. All right. So our first thing we're going to do the inquiry. We're going to create an inquiry. So I'm going to come here, go out to SAP. All right. So we're in logistics. sales and distribution, sales, and then inquiry. Remember, there's three types of processing. I have an inquiry, I have a quotation, I have an order. So the idea is an inquiry is simply a request for information about products we sell. There's no legal implications of it, so there's nothing contractual about it, as opposed to a quotation. Quotation actually has a legal weight. So if we put a quote out there, usually we'll time fence it. It'll be for X amount of time, and we can be held to that. All right. So we're going to do an inquiry, and I'm going to create an inquiry. So I'm going to do this VA11. Inquiry type is IQ. Or actually, you can do the pull down, or IN. All right. The sales organization, I'm using 08. All right. So, which is the you're going to use the number. So this is where that number comes into play. So whatever team you are, that's your number. It's going to be, so if you're team 03, it's 03FS. All right. Distribution channel is going to be direct. And the division is going to be for snack bar. As in snack, as in snack bar, not a place you buy snacks. All right. So we're going to create an inquiry, and we need to put the sales organization in organizational data in there, so we can basically track this stuff and direct it the correct way, and in the system. All right. So this is all the stuff we talked about before. About this has all been set up in advance. So we're simply using the setups that and the configurations that's been put into the system. Okay. I press return. I come back. So the first thing I need to do is I need to enter the sold to and ship to parties, aka the customer. All right, and we'll do an 08 star. Fine, and it'll find the customer. So the ones we're doing for this exercise is the West Hills Athletic Club. Double click that. This is the same one, so I could actually copy this if I want. Oh, here I copied it. All right, good. All right, customer reference number. In previous versions of this stuff, this has also been called the PO number, purchase order number. The purpose of this is to enable the customer. It's a bit of information we're going to get from the customer, who, when we put it into the order, do the inquiry and put it into the order, we will get the same, we'll be able to look it up. So the customer will say, we bought this stuff off of purchase order W1, WI108, and we can do a lookup of it and find it amongst all the bajillion orders we have out there. All right, so I'm going to call WHI08 is mine. Yours is going to be WHI, whatever your number is. All right, and I'll put the customer reference date we'll put today. All right, we'll do a valid from, so we can put a range. It's an inquiry, so we can put a time fence around this, so we can say, okay, it's from now to the end of the month. We're not bound to anything, so it's not like a quotation. We're not, if the customer comes back and says, you quoted this, you quoted this, like, no, we gave you information on inquiry, and things will change. Things can change. Okay, so we've got our dates, we've got that. So now let's put our material in. All right. So I'm going to do a query on this one. So we'll do an 08 star again, and what we'll get is, let's see, materials. I want to sell them. No, not quite yet. Hang on a sec. Let's double check our. Let's double check, because we've got two different exercises going here. So I just want to make sure we get the right material. F, yep. So 00F. See, F stands for finished goods. All right. If I put 00R, I'd be looking to sell my raw material, which wouldn't be good. So I went 00F100, and I went 5 for the order quantity. All right, so we'll come out here. 00F100. It's going to be the NRGB product. We're going to sell 5 of them. And I'm just going to press return. Let's see. Oh, wait a sec. Ah, right. Okay. It's very easy to get caught on this one. You have to put the right. You have to match the material to your project, to your login ID. So that's a mistake I made. I put 00F, and it caught it as an error. So what you want to make sure is when you're entering the material that you're going to sell to the customer, you make sure that has your team number up front. You can't sell. You don't want to sell the raw material. You don't want to sell someone else's material. Okay. And we press return. And all right, so it brought back our material, brought back our a description of the material, and it also brought back the unit of the SU stands for storage unit. So one of the things about this stuff is there's all sorts of like strange looking acronyms, so you have to kind of get used to what some of these things might be. Sales unit, not storage unit, sales unit. Okay, so one thing I want to check on this is I want to make sure that I have the pricing set correctly, because we had some problems with other ones. So the way I do that is I come here under my item conditions. All right, item conditions. If I click that, I got to select the item, and then I'm going to check my conditions. And what I'm looking for, the thing I want to make sure we have out here is I want to make sure we have a PR00. All right. It'll give you an error message if you don't have PR00, if you don't have a pricing condition. That's one of the setup things we've run into. All right. But if you don't have it, all you would need to do is simply add it. You would click if I'm going to create a record, if I'm going to create a condition, I would put a plus PR00, 1 for the amount, USD, and that should suffice. It'll get us through the exercise. But if you have a PR00, you should be good. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. But you get an idea of the complexity of the price of a lot of this pricing stuff. As we look at things like we have the price. It's not like going into Costco. It's not like you take it off the shelf and you buy it. You have discounts and rebates and net values, and then you can have transportation costs. You can have surcharges and all sorts of calculations based upon what the agreements are. So every product can almost have its own dynamic price, which is why we end up using this like pricing condition technique. All right. So I think we got everything. So let's do a save. I'm going to come down here to the lower corner. And I'm just going to click save. All right, and what it comes back with, and it tells me is inquiry 10000, 5 zeros, 34 has been saved. All right, so that's our document number. So we can use that doc. So this is what we're going to use to create the sales order. All right, the next step of the process. So we don't have to re-enter everything again. It's already in the system. So we'll do is we'll go back. And instead of doing an inquiry, we're going to do an order. All right, and I'm going to do a create. All right, and see, it kept that. Sometimes it'll keep that information. Sometimes it'll wipe it out. It's one of those idiosyncrasies. What I want to do is I want to create an order, OR. Which is the standard order. No. Or is it? Hang on. That's why we keep the document next to us. Alright, down here. Pass all our pricing stuff. Okay, says should be OR for order type. 08FSDISB. Alright. OR for order type. 08FSDISB. And what I'm going to do is, though, I'm not going to say continue. I'm going to say create with reference. And what we're going to reference is the document we created just a minute ago. So I'm going to do the create with reference. All right. And what's going to ask me, okay, and you can create with all sorts of different references. So I can do it. I can create an order from an inquiry, a quotation, another order, a contract, a scheduling agreement, or a billing document. So we're going to do an inquiry. All right, and I'm going to, let's see how well we did. WH108, and we'll put a pound sign or star for the search. We'll do a find. Okay, so here is our, we have a couple documents out here. Let's take a look at our, okay, so I've been busy out here. Let's see, so I think it will be, we'll use this one here, this top one. Which is 21, which might not be the same one, but I can create multiple sales orders off. Once I create an inquiry, I can create all sorts of orders off of those. Okay, so I've got one out there, and I'm going to say search. Up. Oh, okay, so it's, you know, actually I can't create multiple ones. That's a configurable item. All right. So let's see. So I believe this will be the one. Search. Oh, sorry about that. I had to do copy. All right, because what I'm doing is I'm actually copying the inquiry into a whole other document. So what I do is I'll do a copy. And what it'll do is it'll pull over, if you'll note, it'll pull over a lot of the information, my sold to, shipped to, net value, net total weight. All this stuff has been pulled in, so I don't have to do anything else to it. Now what I do need to do, though, is I need to put my reference number back out there. And we'll put today as the date. All right, and this is all the information. So all this stuff is basically being brought over. So I can do item overview. So I can look at the detail. I can look at a lot of the stuff that you would want to do. But I think we're good. So let's try to save it. All right. So now I have standard order 16. So I've created a new sales order from that inquiry. So we've done the first two steps. Now the thing you want to look at, let's go back. If I look up 16, what I can do is I can look up top here. Let's see, where is my display command? Document flow. All right. Display document flow. Sometimes it'll come up. I think I have to change my configuration to get it to say document flow in big letters, but this is, you can see it right here. So display document flow. If I click the document flow, as we track through this process, it will log each thing. So all you need to do is once you create the inquiry, you can use the inquiry to go back and look at where you're at as you go all the way through on the end-to-end on the process. All right. So right now, what we do is we have an inquiry that's 100034 with one line item 10, and we've converted that into standard order 16, line item 10, with all the information on it. Status is open. All right. So we're in good shape. All right. So we've got a sales order out there. So we're good. All right. Sales organization, from their perspective, this stuff is out there and can now be processed. So what we're going to do is we're going to change roles now. So now we're moving out of the sales office. We're now moving into the role of the warehouse people, which is now, it falls under shipping and transportation. Click shipping transportation. I'm going to do an outbound delivery. And I'm going to, there's a lot of different ways we can do this. I'm just going to create a delivery, a single document, and I'm going to create it with a reference to a sales order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and pull the information on the sales order and use that, and it'll create a whole new document from the sales order with the information we need. So I'm going to double click on this. If it stops wiggling around on me. The mouse on my Macintosh is very sensitive. So. Okay, so this is the starting point for the creation of a delivery. Another type of document. All right. Order number actually was in there since we had already created one, but it's order number 16. What I have to enter, the required information I have to enter what we call the shipping point. All right. The shipping point is simply a reference to where this thing is going to be moved, is going to be shipped out of. All right. And we can have a whole bunch of different shipping points. I could have a warehouse that could have like 15 loading docks, and each one of those could be a different shipping point. Or I could have a shipping point that is specially set up to handle frozen material, like a freezer. So you have all sorts of different situations we can set it up for. But we're just moving a couple cases of health bars out. So we're just going to do 08SP for our shipping point. Press return. Pops up with a screen here. As you see, it's brought all this material over. It's brought over the item. It's brought over the material, the required information around the description. A lot of information. A couple of things we have to do though. All right. So, because remember, we're in the warehouse now. So what we're going to do is, when we're in the warehouse, what we're going to do is we have to pick the material. So we have to go to a storage location somewhere so we have to go to the warehouse. So 001. Will I take that? No, it doesn't take that. All right. Hang on. But we need the storage location. The storage location, it's finished goods. All right. There's a specific location for finished goods because you don't want to mix raw materials and finished goods together. All right. So I'm going to pick that. That's number 300. Click that. All right. I think that might be. Is that everything? Picking, loading. I think. What we do is we can try to save it. Nothing hurts if you try to save it. Good. We've done the delivery. Okay. 800006. All right. And now if I come in and if I look at the delivery itself, we'll do I'm not going to create a delivery. I'm going to change the delivery. come up here and I look at my, does it change? Outbound Delivery, where is the document flow? This is the document flow here. Click the document flow. I have an inquiry, I have an order, and now I have a delivery. All right, but the delivery is not complete. I've created the delivery, I've created a record, but we have to do some additional stuff. All right, so now we have to go back in and enter the information about the warehouse, and most importantly, we have to do a post goods issue. All right, so I'm going to come here. Let's see, storage location from the plant. I think we have that. Pick quantity, open quantity. I think I need to put the pick quantity in. All right. So what will happen is, in real life, you can say you create a delivery and maybe you don't have enough stuff in the warehouse. You thought you had it, you don't have enough, but you know you'll send what you can send. All right. I think we match up okay. So what I'm going to do is we'll just put that in there for the loading, and I'll save that. All right. So we updated that. So now we should be all set. We should have all the information we need. Delivery's all up, but it has not been released yet. So there's one more step we have to do with this. This is the infamous post goods issue. All right. This is the thing, when we click this button, the material magically, a couple things happen magically. So one is it gets released for delivery. So it gets released for shipping. All right. From an accounting perspective, you know, we make all sorts of adjustments in the accounting system. And then the ownership, the technical ownership of the material transfers over to the customer. All right? All the stuff is going to happen when I click the button. Okay. And it comes back and it says, delivery's not been put away completely. It's not done yet. All right. So let's take a look. We need to go back and see what we missed. I don't think it's it. Hang on. It is missing. Loading point, staging area. No, I don't want to do that. Define. Storage location description. Pick quantity. Oh. I think I'm missing my pick quantity. So you can be very peculiar up until the point where we save it. Let's see if that was it. And it looks like nothing's happened. So that's the thing. For all the stuff that a post goods issues does, it really does not. You know, you click the button and not a lot happens. But when we take a look at our document flow, now we have the picking request, we have the goods issue for the delivery, and the order. That order is complete, at least from the warehouse perspective. All right, got it so far. So far so good. We're moving along. Next step in our process is the billing document. All right, so the customer obviously has their material, or they're getting their material, and they're also going to get a bill. So let's look at our document here. And so we've done all this. They have us go through like the stock requirements list, which is really just kind of a reporting display, just show you that the data has actually been moved from place to place. Outbound delivery, come on down, picking the order. All right. And we've done the post goods issue. All right. And you'll see where it's been moved. Alright, so now what we have to do is we need to, let's see, that's the environment. So we've done delivery. Now we're on, so this is on the document here. This is on page 21, invoice to customer. All right. So in this case, what we're going to do is another section, because it's another bunch of people working on this. This is the billing people. So we're going to go to sales and distribution, billing documents, and the processing the billing due list. All right. So you come here. Yeah, this can get kind of, when you're opening up a lot of things, the interface doesn't necessarily scale well. But all right, billing document, and I'm going to create a billing document. Oh, actually, what I'll do is there's a couple different ways to do it. We're actually going to do the billing due list, so I can do like a batch of things. I can do it directly, or I can do a billing due list. So the book has us doing, or the case has us going, using the billing due list. Let's see. Let's display. Alright, so I got a bunch of things out here. Now the problem is, I've been creating documents all day, so there's a bunch of them out here. So but there is one for 08. Here we go. I think it might be this one. So select it. I can do a simulation of what it would do, or I can just simply do the individual billing document or collective billing document. Usually what happens is there's a whole bunch of activity. We're single threading it. Usually you'll have hundreds of invoices and hundreds of things out there. So these collective billing, you end up like basically sitting down and just plowing through a boatload of things in one shot. So we'll do the individual billing. All right. So we've got all this here. Let's see, is there anything? Let's see if they're asking us to do anything else on the billing due list. So I've selected it. Pulled in the document flow. So now what we're going to want to do is document data entry view. Let's see. So this is basically going to take all of the pricing information that we has carried through. So it's carried over. Stuff is carried through from the beginning. All right. Let's do a save. Don't think I have to do anything else. Let's do a save. And we've now created a billing document. And the way I know this is, once again, if I come to if I go to my sales order, and I do my document flow, what you'll see is I have an invoice and I have a journal entry. It's not cleared yet though. All right, so that's really our last step we're going to do. So we've actually carried this all the way through, from the sales organization through to the material handling organization, now into the finance organization. All right. So our last step in this exercise is going to be apply the cash. Hopefully we get the cash. So step one is get the cash. So we receive payment from customer. So in this case, we're actually going to totally jump to a whole other area. We're going to go to the accounting system. All right, which usually is a whole different group. All right, so accounting, financial accounting, accounts receivable. All right, so let's go here. So close this up. And accounting is another major area. So accounting, financial accounting, accounts receivable, because we're getting paid, document entry, invoice. Is there 8FS for the snacker? Alright, our invoice now, we can do this a couple different ways. Let's try the invoice document, which I think is today. Let's see if it finds it. No. Oh, it wants, oh, I'm going to enter it directly. Alright. Let me do, I think there's another. Oh. I think they have us go to a different place. I don't think I'm doing it. Oh, incoming payments, yeah. Document entry, incoming payments. All right, so let me get out of that. You cancel it over here. If I can get to it. Underneath my Snagit screen here. And my camera's on. Let me do this. That'll do it. Boom. Yes. So I'm going to go back. Cancel that. Yes. That exit. Let me get out. Let me get out. Okay, so now what I want to, let's go back and we'll just make sure I get the right place on these things. So we're going to go financial accounting, accounts receivable, document entry, incoming payments, which is this one. A little different screen. Okay, so my document date is going to be 5/3. Let's see, 8S, type D. So what they want us to do, so one of the things we need to do here is we're going to have to enter the account number. So a couple things you have to do. So the document date will be today. You have to put the right company number in. So your bar, your zero, whatever your team name is, FS, USD. That is what, 100,000 for the account data, 100. Okay, 100,000. So the account is going to be 100. And I'm going to enter something different. I'm going to enter like 1,400 for the invoice amount, because I think that's actually the we had a thing this afternoon, we were playing around with this, and it's the wrong, you know, we short paid it and it would not let it clear, but we'll work through it. Okay, and then the account number down here is going to be your number 0. Mine's going to be 08D100. So here's going to be 08 D as in dog 100. So I think that is it. So we've got the dates, we have all that, it's in there. This is the account it's going to go to. We'll put that much in, we'll credit that much to the account, we'll post it. Let's see, difference is too large for clearing. Alright, amount entered, assigned 1140. Alright, so it was 4140. Alright, no problem. So basically what it's saying is they paid 1,400, but they only had to pay 1140. All right. So what happens is there's a $260 overpay on this. So it won't let us clear it. It'll tell us, this is something we'll have to, this is something you'll have to sort out. But if it was within whatever the tolerance level is, it would automatically, we could distribute the difference, we could charge off the difference. In real life, you rarely get, a lot of times you'll get, close enough on your numbers, so it's not exact, but it's close enough that we can distribute it out and charge it off. All right, let's go back one more time. We'll take a look. All right, and we'll come out of accounting. Go into logistics. So let's go to our sales order one last time. Sales and distribution. Change. Return. Our document flow. And what we'll see is we have it. Yeah, it did not clear it yet. What would happen? We have to, if it cleared with the correct amount, when you do it, make sure you just put the one. I think it's 1140. All right, and that will clear it, and you'll see that posting in there. Okay, so basically this is done. So exercise 1 is done. All right, so walk through the whole thing. What you really want to, for the end, what you want to submit for the team is going to be a screenshot of this. All right, so you do the document flow, and so we can kind of see how it flows through. If it's not cleared at the end, don't worry about it. I mean, if you get it to post correctly, great. If not, then it's not the end of the world. Somebody in the accounting department will take care of it. All right. So that's the first one. That's our first exercise. All right. End to end. It works much better when you have inventory. Important, lesson learned. All right. So let's take a look at the next one. All right. So our other case study is the purchasing. So purchasing is, as I've been going through this, some very interesting stuff in their case study here. All right. So what they do is they have this first part, which is around entering default data, which in real life we would set this stuff up to simplify our processing. So what will happen is we'll put the stuff in there and make it easier. The problem is, because we're doing this to a web GUI, what will happen is if I try to make this change, that will show you what we run into. Alright, so what they'll tell us to do is, okay, we want you to go to the more, let's see, GUI action settings? No, it's system. Also go to systems, user profile, user data is what they're looking for us to do. The problem is, though, we get this message consistently. All right. So this is apparently a known problem with using the web GUI. So what we'll do is we're just going to go around that. All right. So we'll skip the first part. So don't worry about the first section here, the entering default parameters. All right. So we're going to do the purchase order cycle. All right. So what they want us to do is create a purchase order requisition for oats and wheat germ, and convert that into a purchase order, and then do a goods receipt, invoice receipt, and post a payment. All right. I've actually have done the requisition. I actually went through the requisition. For some reason, it's not picking up the purchase order. All right. So it's like, we could find it. It might take a week, but I'm not gonna. So we're not gonna go too crazy on that. This explains it. So the process is pretty straightforward. Basically, you're entering the same kind of information and material. Remember that the purchasing is the inverse of a sales. So in sales, we send out material and get back money. All right. In this case, is we send out money and we bring in material. So it works The mechanics are simply, but it's a whole different set of transactions to do it. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go right around the requisition part of this, and we're actually going to go directly to the purchase order and create a purchase order. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy 44,000 pounds of oats, and we're going to buy 2,000 pounds of wheat germ. Delivery date 3 weeks in the future. We're going to store it in a storage location we call storage 100, storage location 100, which is where we store all of our raw materials at. All right. So that's and that's kind of what the numbering scheme is set up. So in my case here, mine's going to be 08 R, and then whatever the number is. All right, so 08 R380 and 420. All right. So this is all through the requisition. So what we're going to do is, we're actually going to create. What I'm going to walk you through is actually just creating the purchase order itself directly without creating a requisition first, which is actually an accepted way of doing it, depending upon your organization. Not every organization requires requisitions. Some organizations will just simply go and say, just enter the purchase order and go through the process from there. So we'll kind of skip the first two, start with the third. Okay, with that, so let me go out and let's look at the materials management system. All right, so this is a whole different area. This falls under materials management. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to do purchasing, purchase order, and I'm going to create a purchase order. Let's see, vendor. Yep, it's plain plant known. So I'm going to do that one. All right, so it's going to be a standard PO. I can start with my materials. All right. So what I'll do is material description, I'm going to do 08 star, do a find. Alright, so what I want to do, so the first thing I want to do is I want to do the oats. I'll bring it over, and I'll bring another one. Okay, so I've got a first line item there, and you'll note it loaded it up, but it also did not put this is red, so it's not good yet. All right, but I can load these things up. So let me load up the next one. 08 star, return, and that's the wheat germ, which is the last one. And I'm going to press return. No, hang on. Alright, so I got my oats, and I got my wheat germ. Okay, and then my purchase quantity is what I want to buy. So my oats, I want to do 44,000 and 2,000. Let me make sure I got that right. So 44,000, 2,000. All right. Delivery date's going to be 3 weeks in the future. So 1, 2, 3, so 24. Will also be 24. All right. Plant is where we're going to send it to. Do full screen here. And I'm going to send it to my plant. OAPT. Also, OAPT. Once again, your plant will be different. We'll do return. Bitter sack or snack. And then my storage location is going to be raw materials 100. So when it comes in, they'll know where to. we're basically saying, okay, when this comes in from the vendor, this is where this is going to go. Alright, so I think I have, do I have everything we need for this? Don't need a batch, we're not batch. Oh, we can check it and see what it says. Oh, the net price. Ah, everybody wants a price. Let's look at our instructions for the price. See, some of the stuff is in the existing one is the material that uses the stuff we do in the first step. So we're just going to kind of go around it. PO price. So I think we can price it. Let's see. Let's see. Values. No. I think if I pick the vendor, is it the vendor? So if I put the vendor in, I think the vendor will pull the price. Alright, and what we'll do is we'll do what we're supposed to use. We're going to use the Timo oats from Kalamazoo. So select that one. Press return. Purchasing organization. That'll do it. Let's see, purchase org is pressing elements. Get that. Usually. So usually it would pick that up, but it's not. Alright, so I'm not going to worry about that. We'll just put a price in. Let's see what it does. Oh. And the purchasing order. Oh, okay. Some of this stuff would have been entered if we followed our process the right way, but that's how these things go sometimes. Ah. Let's see, net price for item is taken from conditions. Conditions, okay, no problem. All right. So the pricing what it did is it took the condition, it took the information, it calculated it. Let's see. Yep. Okay. And that's just informational. So I think we should be able to save it now. Let's see. System issues. Do you want to save the document? Want to save the document? All right. I've created a purchase order. All right. 45.00004. So we're kind of backing our way into some of this stuff a little bit. You know, ideally, if that thing was set up, we could follow through because the things would be set up. But you know, we can kind of create we're able to create a we're able to create a purchase order for our processing. And then see salesperson. But as you can get an idea of the amount of data we're dealing with, and the complexity of the data that goes into these processes of what we're working with as we're trying to kind of work our way through them. All right, so let's take a look at our the next piece. So basically, we've now created a purchase order. It's now going to the vendor. They're going to the vendor is going to be fulfilling that order. All right, so I can then I'll go to this transaction to change the purchase order. So there's our order. So what I want to do is the next big step I'm going to have is I'm going to get the material in. I'm going to receive the material. All right. So what we'll do when we receive the material, the way we'll get there is a goods receipt. So we're actually going to go back to the material side. So this is going to be something that's going to be done on the materials managed in the warehouse side. All right, so let's do a logistics materials management. So we're going to get out of purchasing, and we're going to go back to logistics. Let's see. And I'm going to do what's it again? What do you call it? So materials management, inventory management, goods movement. All right. Inventory management, which is right below it. Goods movement. And I'm going to do this GR, goods receipt, for a purchase order. All right. And I can enter a purchase order number here. And we'll put today's date in. See if we can find it with that. I think it's going to be this one here. Is it? Like I said, what you want to do is when you create the document, make sure you write it down. Let's see, it'll let us do this one. One individual slip. This one? This is it. Yep. Okay. So what this is, this purchase order, so the goods receipt is basically what happens is it shows up at the loading dock. All right. So a couple things are going to happen. Number one, we're going to bring it in, and there's going to be instructions of where we're going to move it to. All right. And moving material, the process of moving material, as we said before, there's a physical side to it, and there's a financial side to it as well. So what happens is this system is actually taking care of that when we do the goods receipt. And what happens is you'll see this like M, which is actually, they say this number here, this goods receipt, is actually what we call a material movement number. So there's a whole bunch of steps that could go into a process, and we just assign it. So the shortcut is, if I do a goods receipt against a purchase order, I put 101 in and say it's for unrestricted use. I'll do an OK for that one. Why is that not like that? Alright, I'll post that one. Alright, so it posted the material, so the material's been posted, so the inventory's been created for that, or has been moved into the warehouse. received one line, so let me see if I can receive the other line. As you can see, this stuff is pretty, it can be very peculiar about how it, basically the data has to be lined up exactly right. And okay, so I received the one. For some reason it does not like, why does it not like that should be good. Quantity is, materials is there. Where is it going to go? Got that. And for some reason it does not like, and I've run into this a couple times on occasion. Oh. Ah! Material 05R 380 does not exist in storage location 100 in plant 05T. Ooh, that's someone else's stuff. Eek! Alright. That would be a problem. So this would actually go to, where am I? 08? Yeah, I'm in the wrong plant. Alright. Your problem. Alright. Alright, but I've received the one line, so the one line is now posted. Alright, the other one can sort that out. What I want to do now is, let's take a look at the last thing I want to do is actually the invoice, basically authorizing the invoice for that receipt. So once it's received, once material has been received, alright, we'll put that information. Okay, in both items. So it'll post the material document, and then the material. The other thing we have to do is we have to do this logistics, this invoice match. Alright, so that's just going to do, so what we want to do is right here, accounting, financial accounting, general ledger, account, and display balances. Oh, here it is. No. Logistics, material management, invoice, logistics, invoice verification, document entry, enter invoice. Alright, so we can do this manually. And that would be under logistics, invoice verification. No. Materials management. Oh, I just saw it there. Logistics invoice verification, which is here. Document entry is here. Enter invoice, which will be this last part. Let's see. Let's see, purchase order. It will. I think we were working with 05 here. We'll say execute. Invoicing party. Oh, it's the vendor. steam of oats. No values. Alright. Alright, so basically, well, what we'll do is what you can do is focus really just on the creation of the purchase order through the goods receipt side of it. So basically we want to create a purchase order, and do the material movement to receive it in. I think we can hold off there. So we'll just get through those two basic steps. All right. I think that puts us where we want to be for right now. All right. So, like I said, what you can do is you can kind of follow what I did. Just the main thing is going to be the order to cash. We'll see how much we can get with the procure to pay. I'm going to play with it a bit more and kind of see if I can sort out some of the issues that go back and do it kind of the more normal way as opposed to trying to hack our way through it. But anyway, so questions on that? There's a couple probably, but so go ahead. I'm not picking you up very well, so you can repeat what you were just saying. Not really, no. Better. Yes, I just need one for the team. All right. Like I said, what I want to do is just push as far as you can with it. All right. If you get totally befuddled, we try to work it out, but it's the idea is just more the purpose of the exercise is to really give you an exposure to the SAP systems, the complexity of the processes. SAP in and of itself is a very complicated system, so it's not like one of those things where to try to any one of the sections as you can see, the complexity of any one of the sections is pretty high. So the thing is, it's if you get we want to push as far as we can, but if we don't quite get 100%, then we'll push as far as we can get. All right. So okay, anything else? Is that kind of a little late here? So okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up this video because I've been recording this. What I'll do is I will post this up so you can go back and at least look at it from a reference. The order to cash, you should be able to do that end to end. We should be okay with that. Procure to pay, focus on just creating a purchase order and doing the goods receipt against the purchase order, and we'll take a look at. I'll take a look and see if we can what happens with some of the other quirks with it. So, all right, we good? Alrighty. I guess we'll see you tomorrow morning. Ugh. Last day, which is good. So, alright. So I'll see you in the morning then. Assumption.